trigonometry students. They're a month into the course, and all of this is done in the first month.
Oh, wow.
Well, it's only been recently that I've been working with these kind of problems.
Okay.
I've seen this. I have, like I said, a couple of students at Chatfield.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
the thing to realize about a compass is it's an instrument for measuring distance.
It's not, no.
Yes, it is. It's not. It's not for measuring angles. It's not for drawing circles. It's how to measure distances.
Okay.
Okay?
That makes sense.
And that's an important realization.
Okay.
Okay? So, if I want to copy angle 29, looks like, is this your work here?
It is, yeah.
Okay, it looks like you know how to do that. Shall we go to the next one?
Yeah, we could do that, yeah.
Okay.
For sure. Okay.
Almost always, whenever you're trying to create a triangle or an angle, the thing you always want to do is start with a horizontal line. Hold on. Okay. Okay? That's the thing that is the most important thing, to always start with a horizontal line.
Okay.
In other words, if I start with a horizontal line, then copying this line segment is as easy as putting one point of your compass, the needle point on W, the pencil point on X, you know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
And then pick any point you want on the line, call it Y, and using the measuring tool,
yeah.
it's gonna, now, why is that a measuring tool? Let's talk about that. If I drew the whole arc, well, the distance from there to there is the same as the distance from there to there, and it's the same as the distance from there to there. What we're really doing is we're treating that distance like it was the radius of a circle. Okay? And when you have a circle, all radiuses are equal. So whenever you measure something with a compass, you're measuring distance. That's it. In other words, when I make that little arc right there, that means that at that point, the distance from Y to Z is the same as the distance from W to X.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, bisecting the angle is a little different. It's a little trickier, but not really. Bisect the angle below. Well, you still want to start with, let's always start with a horizontal line. And the first thing we need on that horizontal line is the distance from C to R. So put your compass on the needle on C, the pencil on R, and draw a segment that is the same length as C to R. Now put your compass on C. And make the distance to A, which will give you something that looks like that. Right?
Yeah.
Now put your compass on R, make the distance to A, and make another stroke like that. That's how we draw the angle.
And then, like, connect a line through the intersection point.
Right, exactly. In other words, where those two arcs intersect, our line has to go through that. And we know this distance is A. In other words, RA is the same as RA is over here. Now for bisecting this. If you put your compass on the needle point on C
Mm-hmm.
and make sure that the compass distance is more than halfway between C and A,
Uh-huh.
and create an arc. It'll
Mm-hmm.
look like that.
Okay.
Put the compass needle on A without changing the distance between your compass and your needle,
Uh-huh.
and make another arc like that.
Okay.
Now, if you draw a straight line between that intersection point and the vertex of the angle, you have bisected the angle.
Okay. Okay, so like with 31, like did I do that correctly? Or like is it a little off?
It looks like, oh, I see. Actually, I did it incorrectly in my explanation. Let me do it a little bit more cleverly.
Okay.
Here's what my explanation's supposed to look like.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Now, if I draw a straight line between that and that, it will intersect there.
Okay.
And I will have bisected that angle such that that angle is equal to that angle.
Okay. Yeah.
So, the way you did it
Uh-huh.
was not quite right, but close. In other words, you can see that if you continued that arc, the problem
Uh-huh.
was you made your arc slightly too big.
Gotcha.
Notice that
So like
because your arc is this big, the other part of this circle comes out behind
yeah.
here. And
Uh-huh.
the same thing with the arc from A to this arc. But
Yeah.
you'll notice that it's okay if you draw, the only thing you left out of this was the line that actually bisects.
Okay.
I don't
So like
actually need
yeah.
both of those points.
Gotcha.
I only
So
need
you
one
like
because I'm always going to connect that point with R.
uh-huh.
And notice
Okay.
that if I do, that line bisects that angle.
Okay.
Okay?
So basically like to measure it, you put the like pen part
You did
of
it
the
just fine. You did it just fine. I
okay.
don't need it to intersect twice.
Yeah.
Notice that that's completely unnecessary. The only
Okay.
thing I need is that the distance from A, or the distance on my compass, is more than half the distance from A to C. Let's assume that I made it less than half.
Okay.
Let's say I made an arc like that, and
Uh-huh.
I made an arc like that.
Yeah.
I got no intersection.
No.
So without an intersection point, I can't connect it to R.
Okay.
So the critical thing here is to make sure that the distance on your compass is more than half of that. In other words, if it's like to there, then my first arc is going to look like that. This arc is going to look like that. That's all I need. Now I connect that with a straight line to R, and I've bisected the angle.
Okay, so like just to clarify, so you put the pen tip on the R, like for this problem, and measure it to like either A, like first A, and then like draw an arc from there, and then like
the only thing you need to do, well, once we have this, once we have this much of the diagram done, and remember we started with a straight line.
Yeah.
Okay, we just always start all these problems with a horizontal line that continues indefinitely in both directions. Now measure the distance from C to R, set your compass on that, and make that same distance. So that's C to R.
Okay.
Now measure the distance from R to A.
Okay.
And draw an arc like that.
Okay. Uh-huh. Okay.
And now, hold on a second. Let's see, I got lost here.
Okay.
In
Yeah, you
other
go.
words, however we did the angle in the previous problem,
Uh-huh.
you want to do that again here. To first of
Okay.
all recreate the angle.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I know what we did. We measured the distance from C to A,
Uh-huh.
and we made an arc like that. In
Okay,
other
yeah.
words, once you've measured the distance from C to R, and you have the distance from R to A,
Uh-huh.
well, now measure the distance from C to A, and make that second arc, and then that is where the line of the second ray has to pass through.
Okay.
Okay, so that's how we get to that step. And
Okay.
now this angle is the same as that angle.
Uh-huh.
Okay, now to bisect the angle.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're done with putting the needle on R. We're going to put
Okay.
the needle on C and make sure we go at least halfway so that we create an arc like that.
Okay.
Without changing the compass, put the needle on A and draw the arc from A. Wherever those two intersect, connect that line with R, and that is the bisector of that angle.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
These are a little tough. Looks like you did this one good. The only thing you need to make sure here is that the distance between your needle and your pencil on your compass is more than half the distance of C to R. Notice what would happen if it wasn't. They wouldn't intersect. In other words, I start with my horizontal line, and I pick a point, call it C. Pick a point over here, call it R. If I want to bisect that line and I use a distance for my compass that's less than half, I'm going to get something that looks like this. And they won't intersect.
No.
So make sure you pick something more than half. And now you intersect. And now this is where you have to draw a line between that intersection point and that intersection point.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's all you have to do is connect those two intersection points, and that point will be the midpoint.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
$33 is a little tough, but not really. How do we start all these problems with a compass?
You draw a line, like a horizontal line.
Horizontal line.
Yeah.
Okay. And first of all, consider a segment that is 1/2 the distance between the lengths of A and B. I'm not sure what this vertical line is there. But let's measure the line segment A. So set the compass from there to there.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's A, that's B.
Uh-huh.
Now they're asking about the difference between A and B.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if I reset the compass here and start on B and go back this amount, that amount, then this distance is the difference between A and B, is it not?
It is, yeah.
Okay. I don't really mean to label this B. That really, this is line segment A, the whole thing, and that's line segment.
Yeah.
Let's label it like that. Okay.
Okay.
So this right here is the difference between the two.
So it's like halfway between the lengths.
Their question is construct something that is 1/2 of the difference. Well, we got the difference. That's A minus B. And we just had a problem right before this to figure out how to bisect a line. Well, so now we're bisecting this line from there to there.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
Okay.
make sure, I'm not going to label any of these points, but just make sure your compass is more than half. So that you would, from that point, you create that arc. From this point over here, you create that arc. Connect the two intersection points. And remember, it's not the intersection point there, it's where it crosses right there.
Yeah.
That's the midpoint of A minus B.
Okay, yeah.
That's what they wanted, was the halfway point between. In other words, the only reason this is a hard problem is because, first of all, you have to construct A minus B.
Yeah.
And then you have to take half of that line segment. So, so this is really a combination of two problems. Constructing A minus B, which is relatively easy, and then bisecting that difference. Bisecting A minus B.
Okay, so like what I did like with that one, so I measured B with the compass and then like put the pen mark on the end of the A segment and then like put a line where the end of B would be.
Yeah.
Like so like would that be right?
Yeah.
Like to do it like that?
You did it slightly different, but not really. In other words, you do a horizontal line. There's the line segment A.
Yeah.
And then you measured the line segment B, and you put it right there.
Yeah.
Which made that A minus B. And now you bisect that. In other words, now, now you do this.
Okay, yeah.
In other words, putting your point there, drawing an arc, putting your point there, drawing an arc. Like I said, the only thing you have to make sure of is that you're more than halfway. Otherwise, you won't get an intersection.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Well, this is good. The last time I went through this piece of paper with the student, we ran out of time before we even got to that last problem. So the fact that you and I are already here is key.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So we want an angle that is half of the sum of those two angles. Well, I don't know how to do this one. Let me think about it.
Yeah, that's like, that's what I was thinking.
Let's start with a horizontal line. So if we can figure out the sum of these two angles, then I know how to bisect an angle, right? So I know how to take the half once I get the sum.
Yeah.
Well, let's do this one right here.
Okay.
We know how to do that from the very first problem. I'm going to duplicate that angle.
Okay.
So this angle right here is the same as this angle here. You know how to do that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm going to change and treat this as my horizontal line.
Okay.
This ray.
Okay.
And I'm going to go in and I'm going to create this angle. Such that this angle here is the same as this angle here.
Okay.
And you know how to do that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
In other words, every one of these problems builds on the thing before it. You have to know how to copy an angle with your compass. You have to know how to bisect a line, and you have to know how to bisect an angle.
Okay.
Well, what do I have here after I've done that? This angle here is S plus T.
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
In other words,
Yeah.
this was angle T, and this was angle S.
Angle S, yeah.
It's just that I used this as my horizontal line to construct S.
So basically, we can just put angle T inside of angle S, and then like find the halfway point between those.
Well, yeah. In
Or
other
like,
words, once I get to this point here, this is what I have.
uh-huh.
That's S plus T.
Yeah. Like I could like measure it with a protractor, like the angle of angle T.
You can't do that. In other words, the
Oh.
instructions for this problem are to do it all with a compass.
Okay.
That's the key. Use
Mm-hmm.
only a compass and a straight edge. No measuring with a protractor.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
Okay? So
Okay.
far, we've done every problem without a protractor.
Yeah.
So the only thing you really have to do here is figure out how to come up with S plus T,
Uh-huh.
because we know how to bisect an angle.
Yeah.
In other words, if we're going to bisect this angle, set your protractor on any distance,
Okay.
measure that distance there, measure the same distance up to there.
Okay.
Now set your protractor here and make sure that it's more than half of the distance from there to there, so that you're going to draw that arc.
Okay.
And then set, without changing your compass, set the needle on that and draw the other arc.
Okay.
That means the distance from there to there is the same from each of those points. And if I connect those, I will bisect that angle.
Okay.
And like I said, you don't even need both points to connect. In other words, really, the only thing you really need is that arc and that arc. I didn't mean to draw that all the way. I had to draw like that. In other words, this point connected to that point will be a bisector and guaranteed to go through the other point that I would have drawn if I would have, finished the arc.
Yeah.
So the only difficulty with this problem is figuring out how to get S plus T.
Yeah.
And the answer to getting S plus T is you start with your horizontal line, you recreate that angle, we know how to do that, and now make this your horizontal line.
Okay.
And recreate this angle.
Yeah.
So you get that. So this is angle S, that was angle T.
Yeah.
So the sum of those two is S plus T. And then we know how to bisect an angle. We're just going to erase that thing there. There's our angle. Now go through whatever technique you used to bisect an angle.
Okay.
And this, as I told my student yesterday, using a compass is one of the few things that's kind of difficult to do online.
It is difficult, exactly.
Although, that's why I started this session with telling you that a compass is a measuring tool. It's not for drawing circles, it's not for doing angles, it's merely a measuring tool.
Exactly.
Notice that when I put the distance, what'd you call it? Not the needle, but...
Oh, the pencil compass? Oh, protractor.
No?
Pencil compass.
The compass, but there's two parts on the compass. There's the pencil.
Yeah, there's the pencil and then, like, the pen.
The pen?
I think it's what it's called, yeah.
I call it, is that the needle?
It's like the needle, yeah.
Okay. In other words, there's 2 points. There's one that you set the thing on, and there's the other that you use to make the arc.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
You set the needle on T, and you made the arc here. Well, notice that means that distance right there is the same as that distance right there.
Yeah.
So now is all I have to do. Well, if I were bisecting that angle, now it would be part of that process. But I'm not. I'm merely meaning to copy that angle.
Uh-huh.
And once you copy it, combine it with this angle, the key being to make your horizontal line the ray that you end up with when you created this angle.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
All right,
Okay.
let's see in the last 4 minutes if we can do this one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Haven't read this one yet.
It's alright. Yeah, go ahead.
It seems pretty clear that he didn't construct the same angle because it doesn't look the same.
No, he didn't. Yeah.
Well,
Uh-huh.
now, he's not trying to bisect any angles, notice.
Yeah.
He's
No.
trying to construct an angle. Let's go through that process again.
Mm-hmm.
If I have an angle like that,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to copy it,
Uh-huh.
the first step is to set my compass on anything I want and draw an arc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The second step, okay, remember
Uh-huh.
to copy something, you always start out with a horizontal line.
Yeah.
Well, copy that same distance.
Uh-huh.
So those are 2 points.
Yeah.
Now go back and set your compass right there and measure the distance to there.
Mm-hmm.
So now on this line over here, I'm going to go right here and I'm going to measure that distance there.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Now set your compass here, measure this distance,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
which you already had actually. In other words, you had that to start with.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
I only really have one more step, and that's
Mm-hmm.
measuring the distance between there and there.
Okay.
That is what does it. So that
Yeah.
is what duplicates the angle. Now, let's see what Ishmael did here.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
What it looks like, what do you think he did? You have any idea why that angle isn't correct?
I just did like the measurements weren't right. Like when he bisected the angle, like they weren't the same as W.
Okay, we're not bisecting the angle. Remember that. We're copying an angle.
So we're just, yeah, I just said like
Well,
when
let's
he
go
copied
through
the
what I
angle.
did over here.
Okay, well, like first of all, like the angle
First thing
isn't
I did was draw this big arc with the needle on the vertex.
Uh-huh.
Then the only other step was to measure the distance between there and there using your compass
Uh-huh.
and draw
Yeah.
another arc.
Uh-huh.
Once I draw that other arc, I have my intersection point right there.
Uh-huh.
And now just connect this point with that intersection point and you're done.
Gotcha.
Now, what he did, it looks to me
Yeah.
like, is he used the same measurement of the original arc
Uh-huh.
to draw this arc.
Yeah.
He didn't change it. In other words, notice that the distance I have from here to here is not the same as the distance from there to there.
No.
And yet on his drawing here, it looks like it is the same.
Yeah.
So if you don't change your compass, you're going to get his mistake.
Gotcha. Yeah.
In other words, here's the first step.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That's all. Pick any distance you want and make it that.
Okay.
But then the second step is to measure the distance from there to there and change your compass to reflect that.
Gotcha.
And
Yeah.
then draw the arc. So that now when I draw the arc using the compass, I only go to there. And you know.
Yeah. I got you. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah. Okay.
Okay? In other words,
Okay.
this is a different compass reading than this was.
Then that is, yeah.
And in his
Yeah.
drawing, they look to be about the same. In other
Uh-huh.
words, if you measure from here to here, I'll bet it's the same as if you measure from there to there.
Yeah.
And it should not be the same. You have to redo your compass setting.
Yeah. Okay.
So in the explanation, you might say that in his construction, he used only one compass setting, and he still used two.
So, okay, yeah.
You need to use two.
You need more than one, yeah.
Right, and it doesn't really have anything to do with him bisecting that angle.
No.
It just has to do that when you're copying an angle, you have to use two compass settings.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Now, what's this other page? Let me just take a quick look at it here before I let you go and see what we're looking at here.
It's kind of the same stuff.
Well, is it? No, not really. I don't see compass. This doesn't appear to be a compass.
Yeah, no, never mind, yeah.
All right, well.
We got really far, though. At least we got that page, so.
Yeah, I'm figuring, and that's the last time you're ever going to use a compass, to be honest. I mean, go into mechanical engineering or something.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the last time in geometry. At the end of this section is the last time you'll use a compass. Or a protractor, for that matter.
Yeah. Good.
In fact, I remember telling a geometry student just a year ago that it had been 20 or 40 years since I've used a compass. Because it had, because every geometry student I have gotten over the last 7 years, I don't get it until about October. And by the time you get to October, you're done with the compass.
Exactly.
And the protractor. So I never have come in contact with it until, like I said, a year or two ago. And now I've got like 3 geometry students from the summer, and so I'm coming into compass problems more often.
Yeah, more commonly, yeah. Gotcha. Awesome. Well, thank you for that. That was real helpful.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I will talk to you next time.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
All right.